Hi, welcome to my farm. Behind me is a pantry that stays full when every freezer on this property goes dark. I have spent my whole life growing, preserving, and rotating food on this land. Today, I am sharing 8 parts that build a 365-day reserve without trusting one electric box. We will start with a $200 working bay and scale it carefully. At 2,000 calories daily, one adult year equals 730,000 calories. That is only a planning guide. Your real needs vary. Please watch until the end, because each part builds on the last. Miss one, and the full plan does not close. The USDA still warns that heat, moisture, damaged packages, and unsafe canning can ruin good food. So this is not a pile-and-forget pantry. It is a controlled system. And Part 8, the one that ties everything together, turns stored food into 12 months of meals instead of 12 months of expensive clutter. Part 1 of 8 is the food ledger, about $20. Do not begin with buckets. Begin with meals. Write 14 breakfasts, 14 lunches, and 14 dinners your household already eats. Cook each one twice. Record every ingredient. Record every calorie from the package. Record water and fuel too. Food you cannot cook is inventory, not dinner. The FDA uses 2,000 calories daily as general nutrition guidance. It also says needs vary by age, size, sex, and activity. That makes 730,000 calories a useful example, not a prescription. Multiply your own daily target by 365. Then add 10% for waste, guests, hard work, and measuring errors. Our example becomes 803,000 calories. Now divide that number into 4 buckets. Put 50% into dependable starches. Put 20% into beans and other proteins. Put 20% into fats and dense foods. Leave 10% for fruit, vegetables, seasonings, and morale. Adjust for health needs, allergies, culture, and foods you use. Count packages by label calories. Never guess by bucket size. A 5-gallon bucket of oats and one of rice do not hold identical energy. Here's the part most storage tours skip entirely. Run a 7-day test before buying 365 days. Eat only from the planned shelf. Use the same stove, water, opener, and recipes. Note every missing ingredient. Note every meal people avoid. Repair that list first. 7 honest days can prevent $2,000 of beautiful mistakes. Part 2 of 8 is the dry zone, about $180 to $450 before food. Use it for rice, oats, pasta, dry beans, flour, sugar, and salt. Keep original labels and dates. Protect thin store packages inside clean, food-safe containers. USDA guidance updated in 2024 says dry mixes, rice, cereal, and pasta can mold when damp. It also tells you to check packages for holes that admit moisture or insects. Build the shelf 6 inches above the floor. Leave 2 inches behind containers for inspection. Keep bulk food sealed. Refill 1 smaller working jar weekly. That limits how often the main supply meets humid air. Use gasketed food-grade buckets or tight glass containers. Follow the container maker. Do not heat dry food in jars and call it canning. The National Center for Home Food Preservation rejects that improvised oven method. It can trap moisture and damage jars. Write purchase month and product name where you can see them. Put older food forward. Put new food behind. Inspect 1 shelf every Sunday. Look for webbing, powder, holes, moisture, rust, and off odors. If a package is compromised, isolate it. Do not let one beetle colony reach 200 pounds of grain. But dry calories have a ceiling. They need water, fuel, protein, fat, and appetite. That is why the next 2 parts make the pantry livable. Part 3 of 8 is the protein and fat lane, about $100 to $400 before food. Build this lane from foods you already rotate. Dry beans are cheap and compact. Commercial canned fish, meat, beans, and shelf-stable meals reduce cooking time. Nut butter and cooking oil add dense energy. Powdered milk can support familiar recipes. Every product follows its own label. USDA FSIS guidance lists unopened low-acid commercial cans at 2 to 5 years for quality. It lists high-acid commercial cans at 12 to 18 months. Those are general ranges. The package date and conditions still rule. Some canned ham and seafood say keep refrigerated. Those never enter this shelf. Most people get this wrong. They buy 5 years of oil once. Then it turns stale before year 2. Buy smaller bottles. Keep them cool and dark. Rotate them through normal cooking. Store 3 months first. Expand only after you prove the cycle. Inspect every can. Reject bulging, leaking, badly rusted, or deeply dented containers. A deep dent on a seam can break the barrier. Never taste a suspicious can. That small rule matters more than any bargain. Part 4 of 8 is the living root zone, about $80 to $500. This is not one cold room for everything. Crops want different conditions. University of Minnesota Extension updated its home storage guidance in 2024. It groups long storage into cool dry, and cold moist conditions. Root cellars need ventilation. They also need rodent protection. Store only sound produce. Bruises become rot. Rot spreads. Keep potatoes dark, cold, and moist. Keep onions and garlic cold and dry after proper curing. Keep winter squash warmer and drier. Do not pile onions beside wet carrots and expect both to last. Use slatted crates. Keep them off concrete. Leave inspection space. Separate crop families. Check weekly. Remove anything soft, leaking, sprouting badly, or moldy. Temperature changes the promise. The Minnesota Guide says produce life may shorten by as much as 25% for every 10-degree Fahrenheit rise above ideal. A warm basement is not a root cellar because the sign says so. Measure it through the season. Now, the honest part. Dry staples survive only if they stay dry. Commercial foods survive only while packages remain sound. Roots survive only inside the right temperature and humidity. No single zone carries a year. If these first 4 parts changed how you think about food storage, subscribe. The next 4 move from buying food to preserving your own harvest safely. But fresh roots have a ceiling. Heat wakes them. Moisture rots them. Time empties the crate. My family learned to move the harvest into smaller, safer forms before winter settled in. That is where we go next. Part 5 of 8 is dehydration, about $80 to $350. Drying removes water that microbes need. It also cuts weight and storage space. Use a controlled dehydrator for vegetables and meat. The National Center for Home Food Preservation says outdoor sun drying suits fruit only when days are hot, dry, and breezy. It does not recommend outdoor drying for meat or vegetables. Start with one product. Slice pieces evenly. Pre-treat only as a current tested guide directs. Blanch vegetables when the guide requires it. Spread 1 layer per tray. Keep air moving. Finish the full drying cycle. Cool food completely before packing. Warm pieces can sweat inside a container. That moisture can feed mold. Dried vegetables should be brittle or crisp. NCHFP guidance places them near 10% moisture at that stage. Fruit needs another step. Pack cooled fruit loosely in a jar. Condition it for 7 to 10 days. Shake daily. Watch for condensation. If water appears, return the fruit to the dehydrator. If mold appears, discard the food. Pack finished food in recipe-sized amounts. Use clean, dry, insect-proof containers. Store them cool, dark, and dry. The 2014 NCHFP guidance gives dried foods a broad 4-month to 1-year range. It says fruit can hold about 1 year at 60 degrees Fahrenheit, but about 6 months at 80. Vegetables get roughly half the fruit life. Here's the part that matters most. A dry jar can look perfect while one damp centerpiece ruins it. Check the jar, not your memory. Clear glass makes condensation visible. Part 6 of 8 is the high-acid canning lane, about $120 to $350. This lane holds tested fruit, jam, jelly, pickles, relishes, sauerkraut, and properly acidified tomato products. Use only a current USDA, NCHFP, or University Extension tested recipe. Follow its ingredient ratios, follow its jar size, follow its pack style, follow its altitude adjustment. Acid foods have a pH of 4.6 or below. Low acid foods sit above that line. Some modern tomatoes cross above 4.6. That is why tested tomato recipes add measured bottled lemon juice or citric acid. Do not improvise. Use a boiling water canner only where the tested recipe allows it. Keep jars covered as directed. Start processing time at the instructed point. Adjust for altitude from the current table. Larger jars do not earn homemade time guesses. After processing, leave jars undisturbed for 12 to 24 hours. Check every seal. Remove ring bands. Wash and dry the jars. Label the product and date. Store them clean, cool, dark, and dry. The National Center's 2015 USDA guide remains the base for these methods. Its tested heat process is the safety system. The old family recipe may taste wonderful. If it lacks a tested process, refrigerate it, freeze it, or choose a tested replacement. Nostalgia cannot measure heat penetration, but acid foods solve only half the harvest. Green beans, corn, meat, broth, and most vegetables are low acid. Boiling water cannot make those jars safe. The next part uses pressure. Part 7 of 8 is pressure canning, about $180 to $600. This is the scale tool. It can safely preserve low-acid vegetables, meat, poultry, fish, soups, and mixed foods only when a tested recipe exists. It is not a cooker shortcut. It is not an instant pot experiment. Clostridium botulinum spores can survive boiling water temperatures. Inside a moist, sealed, low-acid jar, surviving spores can produce deadly toxin. You cannot depend on smell, sight, or taste. NCHFP guidance states that low-acid foods need 240 to 250 degrees Fahrenheit. A pressure canner reaches that range. Buy a canner that holds at least 4 upright quart jars. Small pressure saucepans are not recommended for canning. Choose a weighted gauge or dial gauge model supported in your area. Have dial gauges checked as the manufacturer and local extension office advise. Before each run, inspect the lid, gasket, vent, gauge, rack, and safety plug. Read the manual. Load the tested jar size. Vent the canner for the full required period. Hold the specified pressure for the entire tested time. If pressure drops below target, the safe process may need to restart from zero. Follow the tested directions. Altitude changes required pressure. Food type changes time. Pack style changes time. Jar size changes time. That is why I will not give you one magic number. Use the current table for your exact food and elevation. The cost has 3 tiers. A sound-used unit may cost $180 after inspection. A new weighted gauge canner may run $250 to $400. Larger supported models can reach $600. Prices change. Safe condition matters more than brand. 7 parts so far. But owning jars and eating 365 days are different problems. The next part solves both without adding another preservation machine. Finish every batch patiently. Let pressure return naturally to zero. Do not force cool the canner. Move jars upright. Leave them untouched for 12 to 24 hours. Then check seals, remove bands, wash, dry, label, and date. Store home canned jars without ring bands. A failed seal becomes easier to see. Keep them around 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit for best quality, where possible. Do not store above a stove, beside hot pipes, under a sink, in damp air, or in direct sunlight. If a jar leaks, bulges, spurts, smells wrong, or loses its seal, do not taste it. Follow current disposal guidance. If you are unsure how a jar was processed, it is not part of the reserve. If you are building a pantry, or even planning one, drop a comment and tell me which part fits your property best. That one conversation is worth more than another shelf of food nobody knows how to use. Part 8 of 8 is the 12-month rotation loop, about $60 to $250. This is the one that ties everything together. The ledger sets the target. Dry bins carry dependable calories. Commercial cans carry quick protein. The root zone carries living produce. Dehydration shrinks the harvest. Acid canning handles tested high-acid foods. Pressure canning handles tested low-acid foods. Rotation turns every zone into dinner. Build 12 shelf lanes. Each lane represents 1 month. That does not mean 12 sealed monthly boxes. It means every product has a use month and replacement month. Put the oldest sound food forward. Add new food behind. Pull 1 weekly basket from the front. Once each month, cook 2 full days from that basket. Use no refrigerated ingredient unless the plan names it as optional. Measure water. Measure fuel. Record leftovers. Record disliked meals. Replace what you used within 7 days. Keep 3 physical flags. Red means damaged or questionable. Yellow means used this month. Blue means stock below target. Simple signals beat a perfect spreadsheet nobody opens. But there is one more thing that has nothing to do with building anything. You must practice the failure before the failure chooses the date. Twice yearly, shut the freezer out of the menu for 48 hours. Cook only with shelf-stable tools. Use the manual opener. Use the backup stove safely outdoors when required. Learn which meals burn fuel. Learn which dry foods demand too much water. My grandmother used to say, "A full shelf is quiet, but supper tells the truth." She was right. The meal is the audit. Set 1 thermometer in the pantry. Check the hottest week and coldest week. USDA says storage above 100 degrees Fahrenheit harms canned goods sharply. NCHFP recommends 50 to 70 degrees for best home canned quality. If your room misses that range, shorten expectations and rotate faster. Operating cost can approach zero because normal meals perform the inspection. Nothing waits 10 years for an emergency. You eat the oldest food. You buy or preserve its replacement. The reserve stays 12 months deep because it moves. Now, what no one else making this kind of plan will tell you, the ledger can be wrong. Activity and health change needs. Dry food can absorb moisture. Insects can enter tiny holes. Oil can turn stale. Cans can corrode. Root crops can rot. Dried fruit can hide moisture. Jar seals can fail. Pressure canning can become dangerous when instructions are improvised. Rotation can stop when life becomes busy. No pantry replaces medical nutrition advice. No date defeats a damaged package. No inherited recipe defeats microbiology. The rules vary by food, jar, elevation, and region. Check current official guidance before you spend $1 or seal a jar. Water matters too. Beans, grains, and dried vegetables need it. Fuel matters. Manual tools matter. Store the water and cooking plan under a separate safety system. Use stoves only where their manufacturer allows. Carbon monoxide gives no warning. The bonus is a $15 thermometer and a 5-minute Sunday inspection. University of Minnesota Extension says vegetable storage life can shrink by as much as 25% for each 10-degree rise above ideal conditions. A cheap reading exposes a false seller. 5 minutes catches leaks, pests, rust, condensation, failed seals, and empty lanes. 8 parts are now on the table. The final question is where to start without buying a fantasy pantry in one weekend. Here is the master list. Every part, what it costs, and where you start. Part 1 is the ledger, about $20. Part 2 is dry storage, $180 to $450. Part 3 is the protein and fat lane, $100 to $400. Part 4 is root storage, $80 to $500. Part 5 is dehydration, $80 to $350. Part 6 is high acid canning, $120 to $350. Part 7 is pressure canning, $180 to $600. Part 8 is rotation control, $60 to $250. Used equipment must be sound. Your cheapest first move is 30 tested days, not 365 imagined days. Start under $250 with the ledger, 1 sturdy shelf, protective containers, and 30 days of familiar commercial food. Reach 90 days only after the meal test passes. Add roots if your climate supports them. Add dehydration for produce you already grow. Add water bath canning for tested acid recipes. Add pressure canning only when you are ready to follow exact procedures. This old approach is being used for modern resilience. USDA emergency guidance still recommends shelf-stable food and canned goods when power may fail. That is not nostalgia. That is proof. The electric system works fine until it does not. Texas, February 2021. FERC and NERC reported that more than 4.5 million people lost power. Some lost it for 4 days. Freezers began counting down immediately. A sound pantry did not. Your freezer can remain useful. It just cannot be the only bridge between harvest and hunger. Split the risk. Keep some food dry. Keep some commercially sealed. Keep some in roots. Dry some. Can some with tested methods. Rotate all of it. Food security is not something you buy once. It is something you count, protect, preserve, inspect, cook, and replace. I want to know, where do you live? What storage conditions can you actually hold? And which of these 8 parts would you build first? The answer changes between a humid coastal house, a cold northern cellar, and a hot desert cabin. Drop it in the comments. That conversation is the most useful thing this lesson can start. Begin with 30 days, prove the meals, then build the year.